world war on less debt than the Republicans have built up in the last 8 years. You know, it's kind of like that brother-in-law who drives a flashy new car, but he's always borrowing money from you to make the payments. Well, but let's take what they're proudest of. That is their stand on defense. We Democrats are committed to a strong America, and quite frankly, when our leaders say to us, we need a new weapons system, our inclination is to say, well, they must be right. But when we pay billions for planes that won't fly, billions for tanks that won't fire, and billions for systems that won't work, that old dog won't hunt. And you don't have to be from Waco to know that when the Pentagon makes crooks rich and doesn't make America strong, that it's a bum deal. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm really glad that our young people missed the Depression and missed the Great Big War. But I do regret that they missed the leaders that I knew. Leaders who told us when things were tough and that we'd have to sacrifice and that these difficulties might last for a while. They didn't tell us things were hard for us because we were different or isolated or special interests. They brought us together and they gave us a sense of national purpose. They gave us Social Security, and they told us they were setting up a system where we could pay our own money in, and when the time came for our retirement, we could take the money out. People in the rural areas were told that we deserved to have electric lights, and they were going to harness the energy that was necessary to give us electricity so my grandmama didn't have to carry that old coal oil lamp around. And they told us that they were going to guarantee when we put our money in the bank that the money was going to be there and it was going to be insured. They did not lie to us. And I think one of the saving graces of Democrats is that we are candid. We talk straight talk. We tell people what we think. And that tradition and those values live today in Michael Dukakis from Massachusetts. Michael Dukakis knows that this country is on the edge of a great new era, that we're not afraid of change, that we're for thoughtful, truthful, strong leadership. Behind his calm, there's an impatience to unify this country and to get on with the future. His instincts are deeply American. They're tough and they're generous. And personally, I have to tell you that I have never met a man who had a more remarkable sense about what is really important in life. And then there's my friend and my teacher for many years, Senator Lloyd Bentsen. And I couldn't be prouder, both as a Texan and as a Democrat, because Lloyd Bentsen understands America. From the barrio to the boardroom, he knows how to bring us together by regions, by economics, and by example. And he's already beaten George Bush once. So when it comes right down to it, this election is a contest between those who are satisfied with what they have and those who know we can do better. That's what this election is really all about. It's about the American dream, those who want to keep it for the few, and those who know it must be nurtured and passed along. I'm a grandmother now, and I have one nearly perfect granddaughter named Lily. And when I hold that grandbaby, I feel the continuity of life that unites us, that binds generation to generation, that ties us with each other. And sometimes I spread that Baptist pallet out on the floor, and Lily and I roll a ball back and forth. And I think of all the families like mine, like the one in Lorena, Texas, like the ones that nurture children all across America. And as I look at Lily, I know that it is within families that we learn both the need to respect individual human dignity and to work together for our common good within our families, within our nation. It is the same. And as I sit there, I wonder if she'll ever grasp the changes I've seen in my life, if she'll ever believe that there was a time when blacks could not drink from public water fountains, when Hispanic children were punished for speaking Spanish in the public schools, and women couldn't vote. I think of all the political fights I've fought and all the compromises I've had to accept as part payment, and I think of all the small victories that have added up to national triumphs, and all the things that would never have happened, and all the people who would have been left behind if we had not reasoned and fought and won those battles together. And I will tell Lily that those triumphs were Democratic Party triumphs. I want so much to tell Lily how far we've come, you and I. And as the ball rolls back and forth, I want to tell her how very lucky she is. That for all of our difference, we are still the greatest nation on this good earth. And our strength lies in the men and women who go to work every day, who struggle to balance their family and their jobs, and who should never, ever be forgotten. I just hope that, like her grandparents and her great-grandparents before, that Lily goes on to raise her kids with the promise that echoes in homes all across America, that we can do better, and that's what this election is all about. Thank you very much.
Gosh, she's great. Gosh, she's amazing. When you and I were little kids and went to school and stood up first thing in the morning to pledge allegiance to the flag and sing America the Beautiful, we believed certain things to be true about America, some of which maybe turned out not to be. One thing we believed was that the president was a great man, and the governor and all those jowly old guys in the baggy suits who seemed to be running things back then. Whether they were great or not, we thought they were, because we believed that to serve the public, to be in government, to serve the people, was a great thing. And about that, we were absolutely right. And if we have gotten too smart as we got older and don't believe it anymore, then here's the Democratic Convention to remind us that to serve the people is good and honorable work and a blessing. This belief comes through so clearly in these letters that we got from children in schools all around the country in answer to the question, what would you do if you became president? And here to help read them are two actors you know, one a star of St. Elsewhere, the other young woman from the silver screen. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Begley Jr. and Ali Sheedy. Ali, why don't you start with this letter from a kid way out west?
Okay, I'll begin with a young lady from South Elementary School in Lander, Wyoming. She's in the first grade and she writes, if I was the president, I would tell people how to get somewhere and help people in homes with children. If there was a snow blizzard, I would help the animals get food. If a family's mom or dad died, they could come and live with me. If there was a war, I would stop it because I love people. I would wear a black hat and a dark purple dress. Signed, Jolene Dawn Barkley.
This one is from third grader Chris Moore, Hopkins Hill School, Covington, Rhode Island, who writes, if I were President of the United States, I would make speeches and say that this country is a place of happiness, not madness. I would make new laws to make the states one big family. Then I would sit in my Oval Office in the White House and think very hard for this country. And if I didn't come up with anything, I wouldn't go to bed until I did come up with something. Some wisdom there. I would stop arguments and littering, but if I were President of the United States, I would have to be elected first. Thank you, Chris Moore. Another one. Some youngsters view the perks of the presidency as a credit card for travel, as does Josh of Austin, Texas. This guy already has his bags packed, as you'll see. If I were President of the United States, I would go to different countries in the world. I would go to China, Greece, Odessa, Chicago, New York, New Orleans, France, Paris, and Texas. I would also see if people like America. The end.
Travel is also on the mind of Shawanda Barr, a first grader from Johnsonville, South Carolina. If I were President of the USA, I would go to Washington. Then I will go to Russia. Then I will go home and tell Mother. Then I will make more money. Then I'll give my father some money. If Jim comes to Russia, I will not let him in. Signed, Shawanda Barr.
This is a letter from Jessica Jemmett in the second grade. She's from Wallowa, Oregon. She writes, if I were President of the United States, I'd make new laws like don't take drugs and be a good leader. I would make the cars be down to $7.99. I'd give money to the poor. I would make the taxes $8.99, the houses $9.99, the pianos $6.99, the computers would be $5.99, and all the food you buy $4.99, and the carpet $3.99, and all the toys $1.99. The jobs would be 99 cents, and the flowers would be free.
If I were President of the United States of America, I would be the worst president of the whole world. Jeremy is obviously a Republican.
Being president is hard work, but somebody's got to do it. Signed, soon-to-be President Melissa Ross.
Let's read just one more. This one is from Annette V., an 11-year-old, very bright kid. Allie, read this.
As President of the United States of America, I would plan a Feed the Ones Who Really Need It campaign. I would also set up skills camps. In the skills camps, people would learn different trades. Then they would be able to make money on their own. I've always believed that people do better work independently. If I were president, I would donate part of my extremely high salary to fix roads, etc. Then people wouldn't have to pay such high taxes. For our relationship with other nations, now I can't say much for it. I would try to be as nice as I could to whoever is the president of Russia in the year 2000. For our large money deficit, I can't say much for that either. It really needs some attention. One idea would be to ask people to manufacture as much as they possibly can of items that are worth exporting. I know that I'm just 11 years old, and I have a simple mind, and I could never think of being president, but I have some ideas the common people would like to see happening with our government. There are changes we would all like to see happening, changes that need to happen. I sure hope someone can make them.
Out of the mouths of babes.
Into the hearts of men and women everywhere.
Keep the dream alive for them. Go to the polls in November and vote for their future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are running just a little bit behind, but we'll catch up. I want to present a young man who represents California. He represents the United States. His is a remarkable story. From the auto assembly line to the United Auto Workers, to the East Los Angeles Poverty Program, to the Carter White House as UNESCO ambassador, and now as representative from the 34th District of California, please welcome Congressman Esteban Torres.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegates and honored guests, Esteban Torres, the son of a copper miner, is making political history tonight. I am the first Hispanic to speak on prime time on this convention. You know, my being here is tangible proof that this party includes everyone. I mean everyone. Our Democratic National Committee chairman has worked hard to make this party the political home of every American. He's the architect of a strong, influential, and winning organization. He understands that to win the White House, the Democratic candidate must win states. And so he has insisted on strengthening our state parties. He understands that to win, we need resources. And so he has raised more money than any other chairman. He understands that to win in November, our strength is in our diversity. And so he has worked to open up communications between party factions. As the co-chairman of the National Hispanic Democrats, I know our Democratic National Committee chairman is fair but firm. He is firm in his resolve to see Democrats victorious. He is the architect of a winning plan. And so it is up to us to implement that blueprint. It is up to us to build a lasting structure. Ladies and gentlemen, delegates, it is my pleasure and a high personal honor to introduce to you the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Mr. Paul Kirk.
Thank you very much. Are you proud to be a Democrat? So am I. My term began 4 years ago, in the middle of the 1980s, a decade in which the Republican Party controlled the executive branch for 8 years, and the United States Senate for 6 of those years. The Democratic Party had suffered its worst defeat 4th out of 5 national elections. The pundits said we were splintered and adrift, that a Republican realignment was sure to sweep the country, But for me, the echo of the campaign of 1984 rang louder than the prophets of doom. 4 years ago, the Republican candidate asked the American people to recall the greatest days of this republic. To help them remember, he invoked the names of certain political heroes. But think back. Not once did he mention a Republican. But he spoke of Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman and John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey and Scoop Jackson. Every one a Democrat, unafraid of change and confident of the future. Every one a friend of the working families of America. And every one a public model of competence and fairness. 4 years later, it is clear that though the Republican Party of the 1980s found it politically expedient to invoke those Democratic names, they have yet to find it in their hearts to invoke their values. Nor could they find it in their hearts to match their own rhetoric. They talked of fiscal responsibility, but the Republican Party borrowed selfishly from your future and created more debt and more deficits than all the preceding 39 administrations combined. From the day George Washington took his oath of office to the day Jimmy Carter left the White House. They talked of the great American comeback, but they plunged a solvent America from the largest creditor nation to the largest debtor nation in the world. And oh yes, the Republican Party preached law and order and traditional American values, but it practiced a disdain for the rule of law, a contempt for the very government over which it presided, and a shameless tolerance of greed and corruption. And now, as the curtain falls on a Republican legacy of debt and scandal, the Democratic Party has regained its rightful heritage and regained its heroes as the party of the future. For the last 4 years, the Democratic Party has demonstrated that diversity and the politics of inclusion are a true reflection of the character, yes, the motto, of this republic that we love so well. E pluribus unum, one from many. For 4 years, we have practiced the politics of common sense, and we have never been distracted from our sense of common purpose. When some said the South would realign and go Republican, the families of the South had a different view. For it was in the South that the comeback march to victory of the Democratic Party began. From the 1st Congressional District of Texas to the Commonwealth of Virginia, to the return of a Democratic majority to the United States Senate in 1986. Along the march to victory, this party stopped to listen to the voices of working families all across this country. From all those human stories, a tale can be told, which reminds me in a powerful and poignant way why I ran for chairman and what it means to be a Democrat. It is a story of Stanley Chesnowski and Rose O'Donnell. Stan's father was a steel worker. Rose's dad, a policeman. When Stan and Rose got married, they promised to do as their parents had done. If blessed with children, to leave a better opportunity for their kids than they had themselves. The simple aspiration of every American family. Stan and Rose live in Middle America. They have 3 young boys. Until 1984, Stan worked at the same steel mill his father had worked before him. One day, without notice, the plant closed. Stan lost his job, and for a while, his individual dignity. Today he works 2 jobs that pay less than he made at the steel mill. Rose works full-time as well, so the family can break even. They worry as their parents grow old. Rose's mother told her recently, "I'm not afraid to die, but I'm afraid to get sick because we could never afford the medical bills." Stan and Rose work hard. They love this country. They love their kids. They're scared about drugs, and they feel guilty because they can't be home when their youngest comes home from school every day. They have little time for fun and little time for politics. Their lives are a daily, constant struggle. A struggle for time just to be together as a family, and for money just to make ends meet. One Friday night, after the boys had gone to bed, Rose was at the kitchen table helping Stan pay the bills.